Hello friends and welcome. Today we shall discuss hemodynamics, causes and factors affecting blood pressure, lymph and lymphatic circulation. The cardiovascular system consists of heart and blood vessels, which form a closed system of tubes that carry blood in the human body. In today's deliberation, we shall focus on hemodynamics, that is, the forces involved in circulating blood throughout the body and various factors affecting blood flow. We will also study blood pressure because it plays an important role in hemodynamics. Besides, we will study the lymphatic system as it is closely allied with the cardiovascular system. Let's first discuss hemodynamics. The circulatory system is a connected series of tubes which includes the heart, the arteries, the microcirculation, and the veins. The heart is the driver of the circulatory system, generating cardiac output by rhythmically contracting and relaxing. Hemodynamics, meaning blood movement, is the study of blood flow or the circulation. It is the volume of blood that flows through any tissue in a given time period. Total blood flow is also referred to as cardiac output. That is, the volume of blood that circulates through systemic or pulmonary blood vessels each minute. The distribution of cardiac output into circulatory routes depends upon two factors. Number one, the pressure difference between any 2 points along a given length of the vessel. The pressure difference drives the blood flow through a tissue. Number two, the vascular resistance to blood flow in specific blood vessels. This hemodynamic relationship can be summarized by the equation F is equal to delta P by R, where F is the blood flow, delta P is the pressure difference. It means blood flow is directly proportional to delta P, that is pressure difference between any 2 points, and it is reciprocally related to R, that is the vascular resistance. Now the second portion of today's topic, blood pressure. Blood pressure generates by the contraction of the ventricles. It is the hydrostatic pressure exerted by blood on the walls of blood vessels. Blood pressure is usually expressed in terms of the systolic maximum pressure over diastolic minimum pressure and is measured in millimeters of mercury. Systolic blood pressure is the highest pressure attained in arteries during systole, that is ventricular contraction, and diastolic blood pressure is the lowest arterial pressure during diastole, that is ventricular relaxation. Blood pressure that is low due to a disease state is called hypotension, and pressure that is consistently high is hypertension. Long-term hypertension is a risk factor for many diseases, including kidney failures, heart diseases, and stroke. Now we will discuss control of blood pressure and blood flow. Several interconnected negative feedback systems control blood pressure. In these systems, number one, role of cardiovascular center. The cardiovascular center in the medulla oblongata helps regulate heart rate and stroke volume. These are the neurons scattered within the cardiovascular center. Some neurons are cardiostimulatory, that is, stimulate the heart. Others are cardioinhibitory, that is, inhibit the heart. Still others cause vasoconstriction or vasodilation of blood vessels. Number two, neural regulation of blood pressure. The nervous system regulates blood pressure via negative feedback loops that occur as two types of reflexes, baroreceptor reflexes and chemoreceptor reflexes. Baroreceptors are pressure-sensitive sensory receptors located in the aorta, internal carotid arteries, that is the arteries in the neck that supply blood to the brain, and other large arteries in the neck and chest. Blood pressure stretches the walls of the blood vessels, which stimulate the baroreceptors. Nerve impulses propagate from the baroreceptors via glossopharyngeal or vagus nerve to the cardiovascular center in the medulla oblongata. Chemoreceptors are the sensory receptors that monitor the chemical composition of blood. These are located close to the baroreceptors. These chemoreceptors detect changes in the blood levels of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and H-positive ions and send impulses to the cardiovascular center. Number three, hormonal regulation of blood pressure. First, Renin-Angiotensin-Aldosterone System. When blood flow to the kidneys decreases, the extraglomerular cells in the kidneys secrete renin into the bloodstream. Renin in turn activates the enzyme angiotensinogen produced in liver to yield angiotensin II, which raises blood pressure by vasoconstriction and by increasing reabsorption of sodium ions and water by the kidneys. Second, epinephrine and norepinephrine. These hormones secreted by adrenal medulla increase blood pressure by increasing the rate and force of heart contractions. Number third, antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone is produced by the hypothalamus and released from the posterior pituitary. It causes vasoconstriction, which increases blood pressure. For this reason, ADH is also called vasopressin. Number fourth, atrial natriuretic peptide. Released by cells in the atria of heart, it lowers blood pressure by causing vasodilation and by reducing blood volume by promoting the loss of salt and water in the urine. Number fourth is now autoregulation of blood pressure. The ability of a tissue to automatically adjust its blood flow to match its metabolic demands is called autoregulation. Two general types of stimuli cause autoregulatory changes in blood flow. Physical changes like warming promotes vasodilation and cooling causes vasoconstriction. Second, vasodilating and vasoconstricting chemicals. These chemicals are released by WBCs, platelets, smooth muscle fibers, macrophages, and endothelial cells. Vasodilating chemicals include potassium ions, hydrogen ions, lactic acid, adenosine, nitric oxide, kinins, and histamine. Vasoconstrictors include thromboxane, superoxide radicals, serotonin, and endothelins. Now we will come to the measurement of blood pressure. The device used to measure blood pressure is a sphygma manometer. Sphygma means pulse and manometer means instrument used to measure pressure. It consists of a rubber cuff, a rubber bulb, and a meter that registers the pressure in the cuff. The cuff is inflated by squeezing the bulb until the brachial artery is compressed and blood flow stops. When the cuff is deflated enough to allow the artery to open, a spurt of blood passes through, resulting in the first sound being heard through the stethoscope. This sound corresponds to systolic blood pressure. As the cuff is deflated further, the sound suddenly becomes too faint to be heard through the stethoscope. This level, called the diastolic blood pressure, represents the force exerted by the blood remaining in the arteries during ventricular relaxation. Now we will come to the third component of our topic, the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is a network of tissues and organs that are closely allied with the cardiovascular system that help rid the body of toxins, waste, and other unwanted material. It consists of lymphatic fluid, lymphatic vessels, and a number of structures and organs containing lymphatic tissues. The major difference between interstitial fluid and lymph is location. Interstitial fluid is found between cells and lymph is located within the lymphatic vessels and lymphatic tissues. The tonsils, adenoids, spleen, and thymus are all part of the lymphatic system. The first component of the lymphatic system is lymphatic vessels and lymph circulation. Lymphatic vessels begin as lymphatic capillaries. These capillaries, which are located in the spaces between cells, are closed at one end. Lymphatic capillaries unite to form large lymphatic vessels. At intervals along the lymphatic vessels, lymph flows through lymph nodes. First, the lymphatic capillaries. Lymphatic capillaries are located in the spaces between cells and due to greater permeability than blood capillaries absorb interstitial fluid from the intercellular spaces. These capillaries have a unique one-way structure that permits interstitial fluid to flow into them but not out. In the small intestine, specialized lymphatic capillaries called lectines carry dietary lipids into lymphatic vessels and ultimately into the blood. Lymphatic capillaries unite to form the lymphatic vessels which pass through lymph nodes, lymph trunk and ducts. Lymph vessels, after passing through the lymph nodes in a particular region of the body, unite to form lymph trunks. Finally, lymph passes from lymph trunks into two main channels, the thoracic duct, the left lymphatic duct, and the right lymphatic duct, and then drains into venous blood. Now we will study the formation and flow of lymph. Most components of blood plasma, such as nutrients, gases, and hormones, filter freely through the capillary walls to form the interstitial fluid. Thus, an important function of lymphatic vessels is to return the lost plasma proteins and plasma to the bloodstream. Like veins, lymphatic vessels contain valves which ensure the one-way movement of lymph. Thus, the lymphatic and cardiovascular systems form a very efficient circulatory system. Two pumps aid in maintaining the flow of lymph. Number one is the skeletal muscle pump, which works by the contraction of skeletal muscles, which compresses lymphatic vessels and forces lymph to move forward. And number two, the respiratory pump. It maintains the lymph flow by pressure changes that occur during inhalation and exhalation. Lymphatic organs and tissues. The widely distributed lymphatic organs and tissues are classified into two groups based on their function: primary lymphatic organs and secondary lymphatic organs. Primary lymphatic organs are the sites where pluripotent stem cells divide and become immunocompetent, that is, capable of mounting an immune response. The primary lymphatic organs are the red bone marrow and the thymus. Pluripotent stem cells in red bone marrow give rise to mature immunocompetent B cells and to pre-T cells. The pre-T cells in turn migrate to the thymus where they become immunocompetent T cells. Thus, in primary lymphatic organs, lymphocytes are formed and mature. The secondary lymphatic organs and tissues are the sites where most immune responses occur. These include lymph nodes, tonsils, spleen, and Peyer's patch. One of the primary organs is the thymus. The thymus is a bilobed organ located in the mediastinum between the sternum and the aorta. Immature T cells migrate from red bone marrow to the cortex of the thymus, where they proliferate and begin to mature. However, some T cells continue to proliferate in the thymus throughout an individual's lifetime, but this number decreases with age. Lymph nodes. Located along lymphatic vessels are about 600 bean-shaped lymph nodes. They are scattered throughout the body. Large groups of lymph nodes are present near the mammary glands and in the axilla and groins. Lastly, we will discuss the functions of the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system has three primary functions. Number one, lymphatic vessels drain excess interstitial fluid from tissue spaces and return it to the blood. Number two, lymphatic vessels transport lipids and lipid-soluble vitamins absorbed by the gastrointestinal tract. And lastly, number three, lymphatic tissues initiate highly specific responses directed against particular microbes or abnormal cells. Friends, with this we conclude today's lecture, Hemodynamics, Causes and Factors Affecting Blood Pressure, Lymph and Lymphatic Circulation. Thank you.